Fantastic Four. First step. How about you take your first steps into subscribing? I usually keep that to the end of the review because I want you to just hear my opinions, understand them, and then from there go, damn, I really either like this guy or I don't. But I'm just going to come straight out with it. Subscribe. You're here. Start off this video. It should light up. I think there's an icon with it with the light subscribe button starts to flurry and flash when you say it. So I'm saying it so you can see the flash. Look at the subscribe button right now. It's flashing. Fantastic Four. I really liked it. Matter of fact, I really love it. Dare I say it is spectacular. Somewhat like Spider-Man. This story is about Sue, Ben, Reed, Johnny. It's the 1960s. They're like the only superheroes around. They're introducing a new member to the family just as they're pregnant, just as they're about to, give birth. She's got the belly all big and stuff. A big man sends a silver woman down to the earth and tells them, hey, I herald his beginning. I herald your end. I herald Galactus. So now Reed, Sue, Johnny, and Ben must now come up with an idea to defeat Galactus, save the world in their newborn child. And my gosh, it's really fun. I watched this movie twice. One time I liked it really a lot. The second time I loved it even more. I do see the overall criticisms that others have levied to it, being that it has a weird cut and pace to it, and a ferocity to the pacing and the cuts of scene to scene. But I don't think there's anything missing from this movie that I'm wishing I had more of, other than probably just a lot more fluff to make it more entertaining. This movie is pretty much straight down the line when it comes to their story. There's no fat, there's no fluff. Everything that a character does or are doing in this movie is catering our plot here of beating Galactus, or even the new fantastic baby that they have going on here. There's not a lot of extracurricular activities to things, in a big emphasis on gigantic world building here. This movie is, like I said, it's pretty focused, it's pretty tight, it's cut pretty tight. So anything that may be missing from this movie is just extra fluff that you could probably see on a deleted scene, or just watching this movie and the story that we got probably wouldn't feel as integral to the story personally looking at it. But sometimes those are the little extra fun things that we want to see as audiences in this movie, which I do think keep this movie from being much more fun than it can be. Because once this movie hit a certain period, it is a lot more dark and morose and a lot more saddening than something like, let's just say, Superman. Superman keeps fresh and fun just atmosphere throughout the whole thing. It never goes too self-serious. It never gets too dark in itself. It pretty much stays in a light, fun tone. But I do think because of that light, fun tone that it can have a little bit more fluff. Unlike this movie has a high stakes, very serious, very personal to our characters here. Adding that little bit of extra fluff probably would have made the movie feel a little bit tonally inconsistent. I think that's what test audiences that watch this movie probably was like, I didn't like this, I didn't like that, so they just cut it because they probably felt like this movie is very serious. The story here has a very high stake. So let's just keep it more grounded and personal instead of the extra stuff with like Space Ghost and Mole Man, or the Red Ghost played by John Malkovich, who you can see in the trailer in the Mole Man. Let's keep those types of things a lot more smaller and throw them out. This movie is not an origin film. It brings itself in to characters that are already established to this universe, to this world. They're already been heroes. I really do like every character that they have in this movie. I love all of the Fantastic Four characters here. Some are a little bit more explored than others. Ben Grimm is the least explored here, I will say. Some people will tell you that there's no character arcs here. I think every character here has a character arc. Reed's character arc of growing from this father who is a scientist who's scared about the world to in overthinking his son and what his son may be in this world, to accepting that. Sue going from like the opposite, like being like so like everything's gonna be okay, the son is gonna be okay, into learning about the problems with their son, and now she's now has a stronger attachment to him. So now she's now the more overprotective one. Johnny, I like his growth here as the more careless, playboy, fun guy to taking on more responsibilities now that he's going to be an uncle and trying to establish a respectful relationship between him and his brother-in-law. And Ben is just more of like the emotional rock that keeps everybody together. Every character here has a moment to shine. I think every character here has a moment to make you laugh, make you feel, touch your heartstrings. I also think this movie is probably one of the more beautiful looking MCU films. This retro futuristic feel to everything really does immerse you in this world while you're watching it. And then there's a absolutely banger set piece in the middle of this film in the second act. That middle space chase action scene is phenomenal. Something you have to see in IMAX, something you have to see in a movie theater surrounded by people who love movies just as much as you do. My overall negatives of this movie, I will say, is the cutting and the editing of this movie is very, like I said, fast and furious. It is like a two. The first half is very smooth in its cuts, in its editing. The second half is where the cutting, like right when they come back from their space chase, is when you start to feel this sense of like it's a lot of cuts and edits here. But I felt like for the first half until that space race, everything felt smooth and felt like it really gelled together. But right when they come back for like 10 to 15, like mostly 10 minutes of the movie does feel a little choppy and overly edited and quickly cut. But then the last third act of the movie comes in with Galactus, and then everything starts to feel smooth again. But other than that, personally, I loved everything else about this movie. Ultimately, I'm giving Fantastic Four, after 2 viewings, an 8.5 out of 10. Maybe if I see it a third time and that space chase scene really gets to me again, it may get bumped up to an 8.7. Thank you for watching this video. Here we are. I'm going to ask you to subscribe again because you made it this far, so why not? Did you even agree with me? You didn't? See, that's why you should subscribe if you didn't agree with me. Because, listen, I say so many different opinions about movies here that maybe right now we didn't agree. I will agree to that. Let's agree to disagree. But if you subscribe, come back next time, we could agree. So hit that subscribe button. Now, if you're already subscribed, well, then you know what to do. You've made it this far. You're at the end of this bitch, which means you was thoroughly entertained throughout this motherfucker. So go ahead and leave that like button. Thank you for watching. And as always, good and bye.